In 1822, one fact was beyond dispute. The Ottoman Empire was the most powerful naval force in the Eastern Mediterranean, had been for centuries. Its fleet was not a collection of warships, it was a statement, a declaration, written in wood and iron and cannon, that the waters of the Aegean Sea belonged to Constantinople, that the islands scattered across that sea existed at Ottoman sufferance, that any people who forgot this would be reminded. The Ottoman navy had not been seriously challenged in these waters in living memory. Its flagships, massive ships of the line, 84 guns or more, crewed by thousands of trained sailors, were not vessels you approached uninvited. They were fortresses that moved, surrounded always by escort ships, by frigates, by smaller vessels whose entire purpose was to ensure that nothing got close enough to threaten the flagship. You did not attack an Ottoman flagship, not with another fleet, because no Greek fleet in 1822 could match Ottoman firepower, not with a military force, because the Greek Revolution, 1 year old and already bleeding, had no army capable of operating at sea. Not with cunning or deception, because the Ottoman fleet was anchored in formation, with lookouts posted, with the full weight of imperial naval doctrine protecting every approach. You did not attack an Ottoman flagship, and you certainly did not do it alone, with a small wooden boat, loaded with explosives, on a dark night, while the admiral, who had just ordered the massacre of 30,000 of your people, celebrated his victory on the deck above. In June 1822, Konstantinos Canaris had not been informed of these rules. To understand what Canaris does on the night of June 6, 1822, you have to understand what happened 2 months earlier on the island of Chios. Chios is a Greek island in the Aegean Sea, close to the Turkish coast, close enough that you can see the mainland on a clear day. In 1822, it is home to approximately 100,000 Greeks, a prosperous island, known for its mastic trees, its silk, its trade connections across the Mediterranean. A place where Greeks have lived for thousands of years. In March 1822, Ottoman forces land on Chios. What follows is not a military operation. It is an extermination. Approximately 30,000 Greeks are killed. Men, women, children. The distinction is not observed. Another 50,000 Greeks are captured and transported to the slave markets of Smyrna and Istanbul, where they are sold. The island, that has been home to a Greek population for millennia, is destroyed in a matter of weeks. The man responsible for the Chios massacre is Admiral Kara Ali Pasha, formerly known as Nasuzadeh Ali Pasha, the Capudan Pasha of the Ottoman Navy. He commands the fleet that brought the soldiers to Chios. He oversees the operation. He is, in the most direct sense available, the man whose orders produced what happens on that island in the spring of 1822. When the killing is done, his flagship, the Mansur al-Liwa, an 84-gun ship of the line, anchors off the coast of Chios. The admiral is celebrating. It is the final days of the holy month of Ramadan, and the Ottoman fleet is marking the occasion with festivities. 2,000 sailors aboard the flagship, the admiral dining and celebrating aboard his ship. The fleet anchored in formation around him, his protection and his power, made visible on the surface of the Aegean. From the nearby island of Psara, Konstantinos Canaris watches. Canaris is not a military man. He has no rank in the Greek revolutionary forces, no commission, no unit. He is a sailor, a seaman from Psara who has spent his life on these waters, who knows the Aegean the way other men know the streets of their hometown. He is described by those who knew him as quiet, determined, and possessed of a particular quality that is difficult to name but easy to recognize. The absolute certainty of a man who has decided something and will not be moved from it. What he has decided is this: Kara Ali Pasha will not survive. The Greek revolutionary government has gathered 342,000 kurush to outfit ships and strike at the Ottoman fleet. The captains of Psara and Hydra, understanding that a direct naval engagement with the Ottoman fleet is impossible, decide to use fireships. Small boats loaded with combustible material and explosives sailed close enough to an enemy vessel to be locked onto it and set alight. An ancient tactic, a desperate tactic, one that requires the men who sail the fireships to get very close to very large enemy vessels in the dark and escape before everything catches fire. Canaris volunteers. He takes charge of the operation alongside Andreas Pipinos, who will target the Vice Admiral's flagship. They plan for weeks. They wait for the right conditions, the right wind, the right darkness, the right moment when Ottoman vigilance might be lowest. The final days of Ramadan present exactly that moment. The Ottoman fleet is celebrating. The sailors are feasting. The admiral is entertained. The watches are perhaps less rigorous than they might otherwise be. The night of June 6th to 7th, 1822. June 18th to 19th in the Gregorian calendar is dark. The wind is favorable. Canaris pushes off from shore. June 6th, 1822, the Aegean Sea. Off the coast of Chios, night. The water is dark. The Ottoman fleet is a collection of shapes in the darkness. The masts of warships visible against the night sky. The occasional light from a lantern. The sounds of celebration, carrying across the water from the flagship. Konstantinos Canaris rows toward it. Think about what that requires. Not courage in the abstract sense. The word is too small for this. What it requires is the ability to hold your nerve while rowing a small wooden boat loaded with explosives toward the most powerful warship in the Ottoman fleet, surrounded by dozens of escort vessels, any one of which could raise the alarm, any one of which could open fire and end everything in an instant. The darkness is his friend. The celebration is his friend. The wind, which carries the sound of his oars away from the Ottoman lookouts, is his friend. He moves slowly. He does not rush. A rushing boat makes noise. A rushing boat creates a wake visible even in darkness. He moves the way men move when they understand that the difference between success and failure is measured in seconds and sounds. Andreas Pipinos is making his approach toward the Vice Admiral's flagship simultaneously. Two small boats, two men, two targets, moving through the darkness of the Aegean toward warships that could destroy them with a single broadside. Pipinos reaches his target first. He attempts to lock his fireboat onto the Vice Admiral's flagship. The Ottoman crew sees him. The alarm goes up. The fireboat is seen off, pushed away before it can be secured, before the fire is set. Pipinos's mission fails. The Vice Admiral's flagship survives. On the flagship of Kara Ali Pasha, the alarm from Pipinos's failed attack reaches the ears of the watch. They begin to look. They begin to scan the darkness around the ship. And Canaris is still out there. This is the moment where everything should end, where a rational man, a man performing a calculation of survival, pulls back, uses the confusion of Pipinos's discovery to escape into the darkness, and returns to Psara alive to report that the mission was compromised. Canaris does not pull back. He uses the confusion. While every Ottoman eye is looking toward where Pipinos was spotted, toward the far side of the formation, Canaris comes in from a different angle. He moves faster now, Speed matters more than silence in this moment, because the alarm is already raised, because the window is closing. He reaches the Mansur al-Liwa, the flagship of Kara Ali Pasha, 84 guns, 2,000 men aboard, the largest warship in the Ottoman fleet. Canaris drives his fireboat's bowsprit, the forward-projecting spar at the front of his vessel, directly into an open cannon port on the leeward side of the flagship. He locks it there. He secures it. He is attached to an 84-gun Ottoman warship, 2,000 men above him. The ocean around him filled with Ottoman escort vessels, beginning to understand what is happening. He sets the fire. The combustible material in his fireboat catches immediately. The flames begin to climb. The wooden hull of the fireboat, soaked in accelerant, packed with material designed to burn fast and hot, becomes a torch pressed against the side of the Mansur al-Liwa. Kanaris goes over the side. He is in the water. His crew, the small team of men who have rowed with him to this point, are in the water or in the small escape boat that has been following at a distance, waiting for exactly this moment. They pull him in. They row. They row as fast as men have ever rowed anything. Behind them, the Mansur al-Liwa is burning. The wooden hull of the flagship, dry, old, built for sailing, not for surviving fire, catches faster than the Ottomans can respond. Sailors pour water. Sailors try to cut the burning fireboat loose. But Canaris has locked it well, and the fire is spreading faster than human hands can stop it. Kara Ali Pasha, the man who ordered the massacre of Chios, the man who has just finished celebrating that massacre with a feast aboard his flagship, understands what is happening. He tries to escape. He boards a small boat. He orders his men to row him away from the burning flagship, away from the fire that is climbing the rigging now, that is consuming the deck, that is reaching down into the holds where the powder is stored. He does not make it far enough. A burning section of the central mast, loosened by the fire, falling as the flagship begins to come apart, crashes down onto the small boat carrying Kara Ali Pasha. He is struck directly. He is mortally wounded on the spot. He is brought to shore. He dies shortly after. And then the fire reaches the gunpowder hold of the Mansur al-Liwa. The explosion that follows is visible from miles away. The 84-gun flagship of the Ottoman Navy, the largest warship in these waters, the ship that brought the soldiers who destroyed Chios, the ship on which Kara Ali Pasha celebrated the massacre of 30,000 Greeks, ceases to exist. Approximately 2,000 Ottoman sailors are killed, some in the explosion, some in the fire, some in the water, in the chaos that follows, in the confusion of a fleet that has just watched its flagship disappear. Canaris and his crew row into the darkness. All 32 Greeks escape safely. If stories like this matter to you, stories of defiance and justice that never made it into the textbooks, we'd be grateful if you'd subscribe and hit that like button. These moments of extraordinary courage shaped history, but they're buried in archives. Your subscription helps us dig them out and bring them into the light. The news of what happens off Chios on the night of June 6th travels fast. In Constantinople, the destruction of the Mansur al-Liwa and the death of Kara Ali Pasha produces a reaction that goes beyond the purely military calculation of one ship lost. The Ottoman fleet retreats, first to Mytilene, then further north to the Dardanelles. The fleet that has been dominating the Aegean, that has been supplying Ottoman land forces in Greece, that has been the instrument of Ottoman naval power in these waters, withdraws. This withdrawal has immediate strategic consequences. The Ottoman commander, Mahmud Dramali Pasha, is leading a massive land army into the Peloponnese at exactly this moment. attempting to crush the Greek Revolution on land. His campaign depends on naval supply lines, on the Ottoman fleet being able to deliver food, ammunition, and reinforcements to his forces. With the fleet withdrawn from the Aegean, those supply lines are cut. Dramali's army, deep in the Peloponnese and unable to be resupplied, is subsequently trapped in the mountain passes of Dervenakia by the Greek general Theodoros Kolokotronis in August 1822. The Ottoman army, which had seemed poised to end the revolution, is destroyed. The connection is direct. Canaris lights a fire on the deck of one ship. That fire drives the Ottoman fleet out of the Aegean. That withdrawal starves Dramali's army. That starvation leads to Dervenakia. The Greek Revolution survives. One sailor, one night, one explosion. And the revolution that seemed to be dying gets another year of life. In Europe, the reaction to the burning of the Ottoman flagship is immediate and extraordinary. The story reaches Paris, London, Vienna, Rome within weeks. Artists create copper engravings depicting the moment, Canaris with the torch, the flagship burning, the darkness of the Aegean around him. These engravings are printed and sold across the continent. The money raised from their sale is sent to Greece to fund the revolution. The Philhellenic movement, the gathering of European sympathy and support for Greek independence, is galvanized by the story of Chios and the response of Canaris in a way that diplomatic arguments and political speeches never could have achieved. Eugène Delacroix paints the Massacre of Chios in 1824, one of the most famous paintings of the 19th century, because the story of what happened on that island and what followed is too extraordinary for the artistic world to ignore. The world notices. Because of Chios. Because of Canaris. Konstantinos Canaris was born on the island of Psara in the Aegean Sea, sometime around 1793. The exact year is uncertain. Official records of the Hellenic Navy say 1795, but modern historians believe 1793 is more probable. He was left an orphan young. He went to sea because the sea was what his family had always done. He outlived the revolution by nearly 6 decades. After the destruction of the flagship off Chios, Canaris continued fighting. He burned another large Ottoman ship at Tenedos in November 1822. He conducted further operations against the Ottoman fleet throughout the war. His home island of Psara fell to the Ottomans in 1824, a blow he carried personally for the rest of his life. He attempted to burn the Egyptian fleet at Alexandria in 1825, an audacious attack that failed at the last moment when a contrary wind denied him the approach he needed. He survived the revolution. He survived the founding of the Greek state. He entered politics, a quieter arena than the one where he had made his name. He served as Prime Minister of Greece in 1848 and 1849. He served again later in life. He died in Athens on September 2nd, 1877. He was 84 years old, or 82, depending on which birth record you trust. Think about the distance between the young sailor from Psara rowing through the darkness toward an Ottoman flagship in 1822 and the old man who died in Athens in 1877, having seen his country born, having watched it take its first uncertain steps, having lived long enough to see it become something real. He did not do what he did on the night of June 6th for recognition. He did not do it for a title or a payment or a place in history. He did it because 30,000 of his people were dead, and the man responsible was celebrating on a ship anchored in sight of the island where they died. He did it because someone had to. The painting by Nikiforos Lytras, created 50 years after the event, around 1873, shows Canaris at the moment of the attack. Small figure, small boat, massive ship burning behind him. The whole of the Aegean around him dark. That image traveled across Greece and beyond. It made Konstantinos Canaris a symbol, not just for Greeks, but for everyone who has ever looked at an overwhelming force and decided that someone had to do something about it. On the night of June 6th, 1822, a sailor from Psara rowed into the dark water toward the flagship of the man who massacred his people. He came back. The admiral did not. Hit that like button if you believe these stories matter as much as the famous ones everyone already knows. There are hundreds of stories like this, buried, overlooked, waiting to be brought back to life. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one. This is what we do. Where are you watching from? Drop your country or city below. If you're Greek, wherever you are in the world, tell us, did your family ever share stories from this era, from 1821, from the Revolution? Drop it in the comments. We read every single one. Thank you for refusing to let Konstantinos Canaris and the 32 men who sailed with him into the darkness that night become just another forgotten line in a history book. They fought in darkness. You've brought them into the light.